Almost everybody makes this one huge mistake when they start on their healing journey. And today I'm going to break it down for you. It's up from Allie with NJ Wellness, and we're going to talk today about healing, self-love, and what people confuse to be a spiritual pathway in conjunction to a healing pathway, because it's two separate things. Let's get into it. One of the first things I want to talk about is the difference between a spiritual journey and a healing journey, because they can be the same thing to some people, but to a lot of people, they're two completely different things. There is a misconception in spirituality on social media right now. Spending a lot of time watching videos and seeing people and what they're bringing forward as their spiritual journeys and what they're explaining to people their spiritual journey should also look like is something different than I've ever experienced. And I think recently we've seen a lot of influencers who perhaps do this for their job or doing this to make money, doing it for more of a capitalistic reason, and you see a fake persona pop up in front of them. And that fake persona looks like perfection. And that's not a truth when you're on a healing journey. That's not a truth when you're on a true spiritual self-actualization journey. They're two separate things. There is a version of fake it until you make it, where you could simply just act like you're in a state of peace all the time. And law of attraction, or creating your reality, tells us that we should be doing those things. There are some people that can't fake it until they make it, because there's so much dense energy built up internally in their body that their thought process won't allow that. Their ability to emote, the way that their emotions show, are controlled by that denseness. So to see someone who's putting forth a spiritual path of, I just meditate at the beach all day and I eat the healthiest things and it's just perfection, is a falsehood. And because we are so entrenched in social media, right? We're so entrenched in wanting that instant gratification of what we see is the picture in front of us. We don't necessarily want to take the time to do that work to get to the end stage. We see the picture, we see the person, we see them acting out whatever they're acting out on social media, and we think, I just want to get there. I want to be there at that spot. That spot doesn't look the way that you think it looks. It looks that way in a snapshot. And if I were to just show you small areas of my life, then those small areas would look perfect if that's what I want you to see. And we're like this in everyday life. We're like this with people that we have relationships with. We're like this with coworkers. We're like this with our parents. But social media is an exacerbated version of that. And when it comes to the spirituality and healing areas, it's very difficult to confuse that is your end goal. That's the thing that you are looking forward to. That's where you are trying to get. And two things happen. Number one, it's not a truth. We're human. We're living a human experience. So you have to know that we are going to have a human experience which is full of ups and downs. It's moving frequencies. It's experiencing life. It's having a path that we chose to have in order to grow, learn, and change. The other part of that is this perfection that no one can reach. We're not supposed to reach a perfection. We're not supposed to be perfect. We are imperfect. If you can think in your own mind, have you ever met a perfect human being that has no issues whatsoever, that has no problems in their life, that has never gotten a flat tire, that has never had an emotional breakdown? It's because it's a falsity. We're not supposed to have that experience here while we're on earth. If you are watching someone online and you're seeing their spiritual journey unfold in front of you, and it looks and sounds like perfection, it should be a really huge red flag to you that it's not the space that you probably need to be if you have healing to do. There are people that can deny whatever is going on around them and have their own perception of reality. And that's great if you're one of them. Please do that. But if you're somebody that has emotional turmoil, if you're someone that has dealt with trauma and you are wanting to be on a healing journey because you want to shift generational trauma, perhaps you have kids and you don't want to pass down the things that your parents passed on to you and their grandparents passed on. Perhaps you're in a relationship where you are just striving to be the best version of yourself because that relationship is important to you. And you may be able to look at your partner and see they're a little bit farther ahead of you in the healing game, and you want to step your game up to match them. In my belief system, I believe that your frequency allows you to experience everything around you on earth. So you have a choice to make as to what frequency you want to, the one that you want to habitate in. And in order to do that, a lot of us have to unpack the lower level frequencies, the denseness, which is trauma for a lot of people. So when we're looking at influencers, especially spiritual influencers that are just like, all you have to do is imagine everything is perfection. What happens is you choose that frequency. You fake it till you make it. You decide, I'm just going to observe everything from this place of peace and love. That frequency brings those traumas up in you. So the opposite happens. Choosing to be in a new frequency. When you're choosing to grow or change, you are basically forcing that movement into a new reality, right? You're moving into a new timeline. You're moving into a different frequency. If you think of it as radio stations, you're moving from like 103.5 to 103.6, 103.7, you're turning the dial. And you can do that by faking it till you make it. What you do is set your intention that you want to be in a space of love. You want to be in a space of harmony. You want to be in a space of peace with your partner or peace with your children. What has to happen is that the old frequency has to break down or be left behind. You can't move up to 103.7, 103.8 when you still have 103.5 programmed on the dial. You go back to that preset basically every time. You're hitting the old button. That trauma, that denseness has to come out and be honored and be felt. And what that looks like in a healing journey is mass chaos. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel soft. It doesn't feel peaceful. It feels incredibly chaotic. And the reason for that is because it's finally asking to be heard. You're saying, I want to shift frequencies. I want to shift timelines. I want to move into a space where I'm perceiving a reality that is the most beneficial that I can have. And the denseness is holding that frequency back. So that starts to come up and bubble to the surface. And that will come up through old memories that you have. And those could be traumatic. They could be ones that incite anger in you. They could be ones that incite sadness. It could immediately bring tears to your eyes. If you have an emotion that rises immediately when you have a memory come up, then it's asking to be heard and seen. And it's your job to feel it, because at the time, that means you pushed it down. You shoved it down somewhere where your body and your mind could ignore it and hold on to it and not let it go. And that's what creates those denser frequencies inside of us. So now those emotions are asking to be heard. They're asking to be felt. They're asking for you to see them and acknowledge them. This is what people talk about when they talk about shadow work, when they talk about inner child healing, when they talk about processing or transmuting energy or emotions. That thing may seem very trivial to you. It may be an old memory of an ex-boyfriend that cheated on you that pops into your head and immediately brings an emotion with it. It's your job to not ignore that thing. So it's going to feel bad. It's going to bring up that feeling in you that you've been holding on to, that your body and your mind have just absolutely decided, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm also not going to let it go. In order to shift that frequency, you have to let it go, so you have to feel it. That's the difference between a healing journey and an influencer's spiritual journey.